the slope-intercept form of the equation of a line. So in this video, our objective, get myself straightened out a little bit here, I think. Write and graph the slope-intercept form of the equation of a line. So we know a couple things coming in. We know what slope is. It's a measure of a line's steepness calculated as slope is equal to the change in y over change in x. In shorthand, m is equal to delta y over delta x. Let's remind ourselves that slope is a fraction. We'll see how that comes into play in our first example. We also know that we learned another form of the equation of a line in a previous video. We learned the point slope form. Okay, and that is, this is where you're given the slope and you have one point, any point on the line, and you can substitute and say y minus the y coordinate of the point is equal to the slope times the difference of x minus the x coordinate of the point, and that gives you the point slope form of the equation of a line. So we're learning a second form of the equation of a line here in this video. So what is the slope-intercept form? Well, the slope-intercept form uses obviously the slope and the y-intercept. It is y equals mx plus b, where m again is the slope and b is the y-intercept. The slope-intercept form is an easy form from which to graph, and we'll do that right here in example 1. It is also the form that most of your TI calculators, most of your graphing calculators use because they want you to set the equation equal to y and then input this piece over here, and we'll do that as well. Okay, let's take a look at our example. Let me make sure to leave that formula there for us. Given a line with slope -2, well, that's m, and y-intercept -3, well, that's b, the y-intercept. Write the slope-intercept form of the equation of the line and then graph the line. Okay, well, the slope-intercept form is here. I'll copy that down. Okay, now I'm going to substitute y is equal to, and I usually substitute when I have negatives or oftentimes positives, I'll use parentheses. Okay, y equals mx plus -3, and then now I'll clean it up. So this is simply -2x minus 3. So there is your slope-intercept form of the equation of the line. Now let's remind ourselves our slope is equal to a fraction. And I will put the negative with the y direction. So I'll be falling to, this slope is negative, so I'm going to fall to. -2 can be written as a fraction as just by putting it over 1. Now it's a fraction. So we fall to, we run to the right 1, and our y-intercept, of course, is -3. Okay, so how do I plot this? Well, number 1, plot the y-intercept. And then number 2, use slope, which we know is rise or fall over run. Okay, use the slope to plot a second point. Okay, well, let's do that. I'll come into here. I'll notice that my y-intercept is negative, my slope is negative. So I think I'll kind of create my grid like this because I'm going to be focused on down in this part here. So there's my x-axis and there's my y-axis. Y-intercept is -3. 1, 2, 3. Plot the point. Okay, so plot your y-intercept. There it is. It crosses the y-axis at -3. Use your slope. Here it is. I'm going to fall to and then run to the right 1. So I'm going to fall 2. This is my -2 fall. And then I'm going to run to the right 1. Okay, and then I have 2 points. So I simply, whoops, I got to find a way to connect these and make it look like a line, and I'm doing it freehand. Let's see here, I'll do it down here, and then there we go. There we go. And the name of this line, y equals negative 2x minus 3. Okay, quickly, I think I can put this into here. Your TI, this is the form. When you go into your TI and you go to y equals, which is why, notice it says y equals, so they want everything in y equals form, which is the slope-intercept form. I'll clear this out. I'll put in negative 2x minus 3, negative 2x minus 3. So they're telling me, I'm giving you the y, give me the piece on the right half, and we can graph that. And there you can see the same thing as we have right here. Crosses at negative 3 and then goes down to and over 1. Okay, let's do another example. Give me a moment to get all my paperwork together. Gotta switch pages here. I think I'm on page, I think we're on page 21 at this point. Okay, a line passes, excuse me, let me not start before I'm set. Example 2, a line passes through the points negative 2, negative 1, and negative 1, negative 6. Write its equation in slope-intercept form and then graph the line. Well, no matter what, we need the slope. So let's first calculate the slope. And we know that the slope is equal to the change in y over the change in x. So it's negative 6 minus negative 1. I'll use parentheses so I don't lose my negatives. And then the change in x is negative 1 minus negative 2. Now you notice I went from this point to this point. You can go from this point to this point if you'd like to. I usually just go from right to left. The slope will not be any different. I just chose this to be 0.1 and this to be 0.2 and this to be 0.1 and just subtracted it that way. Okay, so this is negative 6 plus 1 over negative 1 plus 2, which is negative 5 over 1. This is the slope as a fraction, which we know is negative 5 as an integer. We want to simplify it. So the slope is calculated. Okay, so now I have the slope and I have 2 points, neither of which is the y-intercept. So it makes sense to first write this in point slope form, and then we'll solve for y. Okay, so 2. Use 1 point. It doesn't matter which one. And the slope to write the equation in, and I abbreviate point slope as P-S in point slope form. Okay, so we know point slope form. Y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. Okay, so I'll pick a point. I'm going to pick the point negative 2, negative 1. It doesn't matter. So y minus negative 1 is equal to the slope, negative 5, times x minus negative 2. Okay? Again, it doesn't matter which point you choose. Let's clean it up. This is a y plus 1 is equal to negative 5 times x plus 2. There you have it. Okay, this is the point slope form of the equation of the line. But we want to have it in slope-intercept form so we can graph it easily, okay? Okay, all we got to do now is just solve for y. The point slope form just says y equals, and then we can clean up the right side. So solve for y for the S-I slope-intercept form. Okay, so let's see here. My equation is y plus 1 equals negative 5 times x plus 2. I'll subtract 1 from both sides. Negative 5 times x is negative 5x. Negative 5 times positive 2 is negative 10. I'll move the 1 over by subtracting 1 from both sides. And then I'll clean up the right side. Negative 5x minus 11. Okay, come up to here so we can see what we're doing. All right, and so this is the slope-intercept form. Okay, and we know the slope is negative 5 over 1. It's an integer, but we can write it over 1, and I put the sign with the numerator with the rise or fall, which means I'm going to fall 5 and then run 1. And of course, the y-intercept is negative 11, and we need those two to easily graph it. Okay, so let's graph it. All right, and I think we're, let's see, this is way down, and we're going down further, so we're definitely in the lower half here of our coordinate plane. So I'll kind of go like this again. That's x and that's y. I want to focus on the lower portion. Okay, that's better for you. So y-intercept is negative 11. I'm just going to put it down here. Negative 11 is the y-intercept. Then we go down 5, run 1. So go down 5, and then we're going to run 1 and put a point. This is a 1 run. I have 2 points. I can connect them. Okay, and there's my line that I just graphed. This line, we've now given it 2 names. We came up with 2 equations. In the point slope form, this line's name, this line's equation is this. And again, this is point slope. And in the slope-intercept form, it's this. Y equals negative 5x minus 11. And this is the slope-intercept form of that line there. So there you have it, slope-intercept form. And in this case, using the point slope form, if I move it down here, using the point slope form to help you to get to a place where you can then solve for y and graph it easily using the y-intercept and the slope.